Hey, I'm James. Welcome to Alternate Sides, a podcast about movies, parking, and a 25-year friendship. This week, we're talking about Rocky. I don't need to tell you too much about it. It's about a boxer, takes place in Philadelphia. It established a template for a whole genre of movies that are still being made today. Along the way, we also talk about real tennis, the first concerts we ever went to, and the time Sam's parents met Mike Tyson. Here we go. Whoa! You're driving right now?
Yeah, I'm driving.
But what happened?
Fucking hell. So I get to the car. I press the clickety-click. Nothing. And I'm like, oh no, that's a bad sign. Get to the thing, clickety-click, nothing. Oh, maybe the clicker's dead. No.
Wishful thinking there.
No. The car is dead. Nothing comes on, nothing at all. So I guess, without wishing to throw blame anywhere, I guess somebody must have left something on. So I get there anyway, it's dead. Take it easy. I've got this thing called Loki Thor, which I believe are two of the Norse gods, right?
Are you being honked at?
Yeah, I think so. Just ignore them. So I've got Loki Thor in the back. So what that is, I don't know if you know these things. So they're basically like a very large battery pack. It'll give you a jump, apparently. I've never used it. So this morning, obviously I'm there, I attach it, I'm like a real twat. I've got the bonnet open and I'm reading the instructions of the Loki Thor. People are walking by just chuckling at me. And I attach it and it says error, red light error. Things fucking, which it says, in certain cases, the battery just might be too low. So I guess that. Right. Now, what you can do what's called a forced ignition. And basically the company says, we don't take any responsibility for you killing your car if you do this. So that in that situation, you have to take the clamps off. You hold the button for 5 seconds and it just puts a fuckload of charge into this thing. And then you attach the clamps. And I'm not shitting you. When I attached the clamp, the thing just started sparking. And then
oh wow,
the car alarm went off. I get in there and I turn it on and it won't turn on. Yes, get in there. Fucking yes. So I'm now fucking driving to Dean Street. Fantastic. But I guess I got to keep the car on for a while, right? What's the rule? Half hour?
Something like that.
Recharge the battery?
Yeah, you'll have to idle. Yeah. Get into the garage and seal up the windows.
Oh no. They've blocked it. What the fuck?
Are you
now?
Still being honked at this entire time?
Yeah, they don't like me.
Why not?
Oh mate, they're talking of skips on Bergen.
We say okay, speaking of dumpsters, yes.
They're moving a skip. So I can't. Oh, do you hear that? He just dropped it. Fucking hell. This is a nightmare. What a morning. Now, I should also say I was a step slow this morning anyway, because I went out for a curry and maybe a couple too many pints of Guinness last night. And so I was all set to come in here and complain and go, oh, I'm a bit miserable. Sorry, mate. Go ahead. Now I'm invigorated. I feel like Rocky. I'm at the top of the steps. The car is on. I'm now in the middle of Dean Street, waiting for them to move the skip. Brilliant.
What year was The Godfather? 72. I was trying to figure out whether this was like the golden age of like Italian American, like Saturday Night Fever, The Godfather, Rocky, all within like 3 or 4 years of each other. And they're still in some ways like the touchstones of that. Hey, this fucking
Yo,
guy.
Adrian.
That whole
Yo.
thing, and Goodfellas, obviously, and The Sopranos, some of those things came later. But it's funny, just that one period of the mid 70s was a period when America became
Yeah.
aware of, or like that this sort of cultural stereotype, or this cultural, hey, yo,
Yo,
hey,
Adrian. Yeah, it's all a bit silly.
is it
But
silly?
yes, I think it's a bit silly.
The all white doo-wop group on the street corner.
That's never happened ever.
It's like being in a Billy Joel video.
I will say this. So the movie opens and it's Rocky, right? It's like, it's not Cassavetes. It's not the French Connection even. It's like, it's Rocky. But somehow, I don't know if it's the film stock or what it is, but it just looks like 70s America. And there's something very, very beautiful about that. I don't know.
I had the exact same thought, like the way that the titles are, and just like the look of like even the fire hydrants and the shops, and the way that he's walking down the street and everything is very nostalgic and very sort of comforting in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy to think that I was alive and walking around that same city at that same time.
Right. But not in those parts, probably. You were more of a silver spoon kind of boy than Rocky Balboa.
Well, it's true. I wasn't in that.
You weren't in the white doo-wop.
The neighborhood I grew up in, which is called Society Hill, has become.
I mean, the name says it all.
I think it comes from the Free Society of Traders, actually.
Not high society.
Not high society. It's become quite exclusive, shall we say?
Shall we?
But when I was growing up, it was mixed. There was a vacant lot on our block. We had a Subway vent on the corner and a homeless guy who slept out there, about whom my older sister always used to say, that's your real dad, right?
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
That's right.
But it was mixed. But no, there are parts in the movie that I definitely, was around. Obviously, the art museum, the Italian market, which is where he goes running through.
That's not where is that where we've been? The Italian market? Have you ever taken me there?
Yeah, I think we have. Paisanos.
Yeah, Paisanos. I've definitely been there. That's where it is? That's where like Burt Young works?
He probably works in a meat further in South Philly, but the Italian market is when Rocky's doing the running montage.
When he's running and then someone chucks him the orange. Yeah, that's terrible. Absurd.
My face was just beaming when that montage starts.
When it starts,
it's so satisfying.
Is it? That was my question. Is that the first of its kind? Is that the first?
The training montage.
Yeah, exactly. We got 5 weeks to get in shape. Dun, 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 dun,
yeah, doing
dun,
the push-ups.
You can't help yourself. You definitely get into it.
I'm going to make a confession. I was a little tearful at the end of that at the end of that montage. And it wasn't, I don't even know what it was. It's a combination of like, it's obviously meant to be rousing, but also all of the feelings about Philadelphia and about the imagery, I guess, of just like childhood and and it's such a, I don't know, it's become so iconic, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, it does that thing. It does that thing incredibly well, probably. And I do think if it's not the first, it was like the template for everything that came after.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was a trope so much that like The Simpsons spoofed it in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like, it's been. I think it's a particular aspect of, I think, of like 80s movies that they will have that montage.
Sorry, pause for 1 second. I'm just texting Margie. I fixed it. Can't talk now. You owe me a drink.
So like the big fight in the, well, okay, let me back up. So speaking of, tropes and images that either were already or became, because of this movie, cinematic mainstays, there's a shot where the fight's going on and you see people in the bar watching it. and there's like the shot from like POV from the TV looking
Yeah,
down. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what is that shot? Like, I know that shot's in The King of Comedy. I think it's in The Truman Show. I think it's in,
Right.
it's in a bunch of things. And like, who first did that? Like, bunch of people in a bar watching the TV, and then the reverse shot, like from the TV looking down at them.
Yeah. It makes sense because the screens were not everywhere, right? So like if you did that today, it wouldn't be that one everyone watching on one. First of all, the bar would have 9 screens, so you couldn't do that.
Right. Yeah. One other Philadelphia point: the Spectrum, which is where the big fight takes place, was the hockey arena back then, and was where I saw my very first concert, Peter Gabriel, 1987.
That's fancy. You saw Peter Gabriel. Peter Gabriel was your first concert? Wait, so how old were you? You were quite old though.
14.
Oh yeah, no, that's too old.
14.
My first concert was 5 Star in Wembley Arena. They were a British rip-off of the Jackson 5.
Wow.
My mum took me.
That's very sweet.
But I was 7, I was like 7. Made sense.
Molly's first concert growing up in West Virginia was Guns N' Roses opening for AC/DC.
She wins.
She definitely wins.
But I did, if we're going to talk about concerts though, in one year, I saw the Michael Jackson Bad Tour, Madonna's Blonde Ambition Tour, and a Prince tour, all in one summer. That was fucking good. That's the trifecta. Prince, Michael Jackson, and Madonna.
That really is. I think I went to a dynamite performance of the St. Matthew Passion that year at the local basilica. The unabridged St. Matthew
Naturally,
Passion.
with all the talking bits. Yeah, great. 4 hours long.
It has a cumulative power. So, another thing I was thinking about is the way that boxing is treated in this movie. And I feel like boxing in America, now it's pretty niche. But when we were growing up, boxing was like still pretty like a mainstream cultural event. You'd have Sugar Ray Leonard, or even like the very young Mike Tyson, or whoever else was on there.
I used to get up 9 a.m. on 7 a.m. Sundays to watch me and my dad would get up to watch the Tyson fights. My parents ran into Mike Tyson, and in New York on a trip, and they knew how much I liked him, so they asked him for his autograph. And he said, yeah, for their son. And he said, what's your son's name? And they said, Sam. And he said, how do you spell that?
Good for him. He knew. He knew. But boxing in those days it would be on TV. It would be like Saturday night, ABC, I want to say, Howard Cosell.
I think it's still on TV, James. I think they still show boxing.
Yeah, but it's marginal.
It's not Cosell. You're right. It's not mainstream.
And then later HBO would have all the boxing. But what I'm saying is there's sort of two things. There's like boxing as this kind of like noble sport that like attracted Norman Mailer and George Plimpton, and was like somehow seen as, I don't know, almost highbrow in some kind of weird cultural way. And then,
well, it's like there's the argument made that it's sort of the ultimate sport, right? It's the oldest and most noble in a way. Yeah, it's like two men.
Is it noble? I don't know that it's noble, but anyway. But then there is like this more like gritty, like, which is where the Rocky takes place, which is like the neighborhood corner gym and guys getting into fights and hanging out on the whatever.
Yeah.
It also reminded me of him, he in the beginning he's doing a boxing match with some guy who you later find out is like considered over the hill and lame or whatever.
I mean, he looks pretty rubbish.
But he gets paid $40 for winning the fight. And it reminded me of City Lights, the Chaplin movie, where there's an amazing boxing match that he goes in. Choreographed so incredibly, where Chaplin is hiding, dancing behind the ref the whole time.
Avoiding it.
But it made me think of boxing movies and sort of boxing before Raging Bull and after, because this is before, and it's much, it's
the idea
different.
of sort of the old boxing movie where the guy had to kind of make good, and of course the person you're fighting in the ring is always yourself, You know, that's the story of all the boxing movies, which is still the story of Raging Bull. Even in the good ones, it's the same. It's too good a metaphor, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Too good to pass up.
And also, well, in this movie, Apollo Creed, the thing that I thought was interesting is like Apollo Creed understands the spectacle of it. You know, that he's a showman.
He's definitely based on Muhammad Ali. Like he comes out there with rhymes and just like, I'll do this, predicting I'm going to take him down in 3. It's all Ali.
When he comes into the final match, he's dressed up as George Washington on a float of the painting George Washington crossing the Delaware or whatever.
Well, that sort of prefigures what's his name? Who's Tyson's manager? That crazy guy, Don King. He would pull stunts like that, right?
Yeah, Don King.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a silly movie, right?
Well, I was thinking as I was watching it, like, why is this movie so popular and so iconic? Why, like, there's not really much about it. And then by the end, I was like,
They got to you.
He did it. It absolutely got to me at the end. Yeah.
That's really funny. I think, yeah, like that. I do think like the whole back third of it. That is the way that they've been making them ever since, kind of. Like you do this long training bullshit, and then you have this long epic battle, and then the hero is beaten but standing, whatever.
Bloody but unbound.
Exactly. Very good.
Well, I think the fact that he doesn't win is part of it. I mean, in the later movies and the 80s movies like that, not just the Rocky movies, but the other movies like that.
He has to win. Yeah.
Karate Kid, same director, right? Karate Kid.
In this movie, I think they piled on the absurdities so much. Number one, we're going to pluck you out of obscurity, and pick you. Number two, you've basically got 5 weeks to turn yourself from a bum into the heavyweight champion of the world. And number three, the guy you're fighting against has never even, forget about lost. No one's even gone the distance with him, and that's your. So by the time
he's never been knocked down.
He's never been knocked down. Never taken the distance. Never anything. No one's ever laid a glove on him. So by the time they get to the end, I think they're like, look, we obviously can't win. But what's funny is to me is that they don't. Like you could blink and miss it. What the actual result of the match is, it's not in there. It's kind of like in the background.
It's not important.
I guess they had the conviction to know that the movie's not about him winning. It's about Adrian. It's a love story. That's why you got all teary-eyed.
Relationships.
It's about relationships. She goes from being basically like someone who should be an inpatient in the psych ward to being like the life of the party. With just from all she needed was Sylvester Stallone to give her a smooch.
I think that's right. And I did feel a little uncomfortable in the scene in the apartment where she repeatedly says,
I knew that she said, in today's age of consent, that would not go.
She repeatedly says, I'm not comfortable here. I shouldn't be. I want to leave.
She's saying no. She's saying no, Rocky. She's saying no.
And then he closes the door and then
locks it. Puts his big beefy hand. Yeah.
And then it's not a laughing matter. And then boxes her in. Like she's like,
if you will.
But after he's taken off his, it's hot in here. Let me take my sweatshirt off.
Oh yeah, he's in his wife beater.
Yeah, I don't think we can call it that anymore. The very fact that we could ever call it a wife beater, that it was known as that.
But then he fixes her. One kiss, and she goes from this like shy, demure, like absurdly like panicked person, little mouse, scared mouse, into like she stands up for him, talks back to Burt Young. It's my house too.
Yeah, and she's dressed to the nines.
Yeah, you look. What does he say? You look. He says something nice that he says to her when she's in the red dress.
Oh yeah, he does say. What is that? I don't know.
He says something really nice to her, and she's like, "Really? Yeah." That's a sweet moment, actually. But it's kind of stupid. I mean, and the whole Burt Young. Oh, I caught a movie with Burt Young years and years later. He poor guy. He couldn't remember any of his lines by that point, and you couldn't understand anything he said.
Mm-hmm.
He just. That's what all his lines sounded like.
That's a little depressing.
It's not a very good movie.
The Italian Stallion.
So stupid. Is this the fourth movie that we've watched?
Mm-hmm.
This was the one I was looking forward to the least. And it's probably the one I enjoyed the least watching, even though it's the easiest probably to watch. It doesn't make many demands on you as a viewer.
But like the other ones, it's very slow going in the beginning. Slow going implies that it's not, that it's whatever. It's very slow in the beginning.
Yeah.
In that
deliberate.
same way. Deliberately paced. I would like to know, well, first a little teaser that when we get to the movies of 77, they get a little bit more back to the Somnive realm of things.
Well, part of my question was, like, in the idea of what we're sort of doing, this is what I felt with Rocky, is like, okay, so with Rocky, you've managed to miss somehow, like Frank Sinatra, you've managed to skip a cultural milestone for sure. Like it's absolutely one of the, kind of key and what's funny is that I think it won like best picture, right? Best director, whatever. Like it was like a very like smash hit. Obviously it was a big hit at the time, but it also got awards and at a time when people were making pretty interesting movies. But to me the question is, this guy, listen, you can't park here. This is a driveway.
Aren't you parked there?
No, I'm parked just before the driveway. This guy has no idea what's going on.
It does not concern you. Don't engage.
Oh no, he's a cabbie. He's picking people up. The two kids going to the airport. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So is the point of what, like, is it equally worthwhile or valuable for you to have now seen this movie Rocky?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it more or the same value to watch the movies like The Last Detail or whatever?
The Passenger.
The Passenger. Movies which are certainly a bit more obscure, but big movies that have been missed. But I guess movies that I would still recommend going to see. I wouldn't of my own accord go and watch Rocky.
Well, we've talked about this a couple of times. Yeah, of what is the what is the goal of this enterprise in terms of my education as a moviegoer. And I think originally it came up because you and I have written many projects together, and frequently you will reference an iconic movie and I will sheepishly admit I haven't seen it, and you will fly into a rage and not speak to me for a week.
Like the training montage from Rocky. Oh, I haven't seen it.
Well, I want to say though that having seen Rocky, I don't feel like nothing new was revealed to me about Rocky.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'd seen the montage. I know what it's about. I know, the characters, Yo, Adrian, all that stuff. So
when he's running though, you're like, go on. He fucking goes.
When he's running along the river and he suddenly speeds up. That's very good. But then there's the first running montage where he's not up to it. The first time he goes up the steps,
he can't. He's
barely
winded.
get to the top.
He's winded, and
I also noticed he's wearing Chuck Taylors through that whole montage, which I'd never really clocked before. But I think that it's a question of I don't know, important or iconic movies, but I think there's room for both, is what I'm saying. I mean, when we get into the 80s, it's true that I have never seen any of the Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I don't think that those fit into, I don't think that those are as important as other movies to have seen.
Yeah.
But I think equally that Fanny and Alexander has a place in this project, and equally so does Rocky.
Did you ever see like Fatal Attraction?
No.
See, that would be one maybe. Or Jagged Edge. Did you ever see Jagged Edge?
No, but that's Bridges, right?
Yeah, you like Jagged Edge.
I love Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, those are like the 80s movies that I would say were like iconic.
Well, like, for example, what about like, this is getting ahead of ourselves, but I've never seen Forrest Gump. But I have a feeling that you will think that, like,
I can't watch Forrest Gump again. There's no way that's happening.
Yeah, we'll find our way. I think we'll find our way.
There's not too much else to say really about Rocky, is there? I mean, it's just it's more like what it led to. It led to like 5 of those, and now they're still making like the Creed series, you know.
As I think was mentioned last time, my mother is in Rocky V.
And that's which is the same director, right? Avildsen came back and did the last
I think
one.
so, yeah.
Yeah, so your mother and Avildsen are best buddies. I saw what's the one with Drago?
Rocky IV.
Rocky 4. I saw that in the cinema. Actually, I saw that. What's the one with Mr. T? Is that 3?
That's Rocky III, yeah.
I saw that in the cinema too. So I mean, as a kid, these were great.
Eye of the Tiger.
Oh yeah. Very good.
Eye of the Tiger.
It's hard not to sing it, right?
Yeah. But you know what really shocks me is the idea that this movie, this somewhat sensitive, just small scale kind of movie, was written by Sylvester Stallone, who, I've always thought of as being, the sort of meathead, Rambo.
Isn't the story that he wrote it in 3 days, having watched? I think the story is that he wrote it in 3 days because he saw this boxing match, where the guy goes 15 rounds or something, and I think originally Rocky's supposed to chuck the fight at the end. I think that's the original. It was a bit darker, the original script.
Well, the Burgess Meredith character is at the end is telling him to stay down. Stay down.
Yeah.
But the Burgess Meredith, I mean, that's actually a good scene when the trainer goes to Rocky's apartment to try and, like, now that Rocky has been plucked out of obscurity, to try and like having dissed him for and even like taken away his locker at the training gym, now wants to come around, and it's very poignant because you can see he's clinging to this like 50-year-old memories of when he was like the 1926 bantamweight champion or whatever.
What's also nice, I think, about that scene is that it ends and Burgess Meredith leaves, and then Rocky comes down the street, and we don't hear the resolution. We see it in a long, long distant shot. That's lovely.
I thought that was very good too, and I thought that's a very Nevian moment. I knew you would like that.
Yeah, that's the way it should be done.
That Rocky goes, and then we see that a rapprochement has occurred. We don't
rapprochement, oui.
But we don't need to hear him say, "Hey, yeah, yo,
hey, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, okay, let's go do it. Hey, let's do it." It's a beauty. I tell you what. Last time wintry mix. Today, spring is in the air. It's going to be 60-something degrees today. 64 degrees. It's glorious sunshine. The battery is charging. Life is good. Now, what happens when I turn the car off? Do I risk turning it off? Will it turn back on?
It should. I think you can get something that will tell you how much juice is in the battery, whether you need a new one or not.
I think the battery's fine. It's like it has happened before. It's something was left on. Oh, it's this. Huh. Look.
Yeah. She left the light on.
Margie.
It's classic, leaving the indoor light on, the inside light on. The dome light.
I wonder if it was Wilder. Someone's going to pay.
I would be curious to know, like we were saying earlier, that whole Italian-American, South Philly, whether that was really like a novelty when this movie came out, whether it was like shining a light on this like kind of subculture that most of America was not aware of.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's also like a group who had been for decades a real like looked down upon minority, like always scorned, in a way.
After the Irish, the Italians.
Exactly, the Irish, the Italians, the Jews. It's also, if you think about it, it's not a coincidence probably that but many of the great actors that we think of in that era are also De Niro and Pacino and these guys. It's like it was this big kind of moment. And the filmmakers too, like Coppola and Scorsese. De Palma, I guess, was Italian, wasn't he? Italian-American.
That's very interesting. Now that I think about it, like Travolta.
Yeah.
And DeVito even.
Yeah.
It's like around that time, right?
And is Stallone himself, is he Italian American? Because Sylvester Stallone doesn't sound like an Italian American name, but he must be, I guess.
His full name is Michael Sylvester Gardenzio Stallone.
Hey,
Gardenzio.
Gardenzio. Yeah. I mean, your man Sinatra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go on, then give me the rundown of what do we got on the docket?
Movies from 1977.
Yeah, hit me.
New York, New York.
Oh yeah, the Scorsese, De Niro. De Niro, I think, learned to play the saxophone for this movie.
And that's the movie that the song is from. I think most people, if you ask them, when was the song New York, New York, start spreading the news, written, would say earlier than 1977.
Definitely.
And they probably would be amazed to know that it was written for a Martin Scorsese movie. I mean, that's kind of crazy, actually, as I think about it.
Yeah.
But I did see New York, New York as a child, I think, and it was ball-numbingly boring. I could not.
You weren't charmed by Liza Minnelli?
We're definitely not doing that movie, but I'm just saying, like, I have to
just putting it on
mention it.
Putting it on there.
And
Okay,
I will say something about the Sinatra song, since we were mentioning Sinatra earlier. His performance of the song is so lame, and there's it feels like the first.
It's like
take.
Sinatra like banged your wife at some point. It's so funny. Like, you're so against.
You know what it is?
Guy.
It's because I resent the cult of Sinatra, which when we were younger was full of like people like jazz for people who don't like jazz, and like, oh, Sinatra, oh man,
people love him. People
Sinatra.
Love Frank.
Yeah,
old Blue Eyes.
But there's one point in the song where Sinatra's kind of riffing on the end, if I can make it there and blah blah blah, and there's one point where he just extends the word "and" for a long time in this absurdly unmusical if I can make it's just so terrible. And like, where was the producer right there to be like, let's punch in that little pre-chorus or whatever.
That's funny.
Terrible. Okay, so that's one.
Okay.
Here's one where we're veering back towards the art house. Three Women.
Oh, the Altman movie. That could be interesting. I love Robert Altman. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Okay, that's good. I like that.
Saturday Night Fever.
Having just done Rocky.
I don't think I can do it.
No. Although you'll definitely get teary-eyed at the end. Once he starts dancing. Well, I didn't expect tears at the end of Rocky.
Nor did I. That's the best kind. I'm surprised by my own emotion. All right, here's a good one. Can't wait for your reaction to this. Werner Herzog's Stroszek.
Oh my goodness. That's like one of my favorite movies in the world. We gotta watch that. Stroszek, I fucking love that movie. You've still not seen that, despite how many times I've told you, I've instructed you. I was real specific.
You have instructed me to watch that movie before, yeah.
All right, that's top of the list.
Wim Wenders' The American Friend.
Oh, I watched that very recently, actually.
Dennis Hopper's in that, right?
Yeah, it's really good. It's
Bruno
really
Ganz.
good. It's a strange movie. I don't know why did I watch that recently. I think I'd never seen it, and it was on something, and I was like, yeah. I watched it like a few months ago. It's very good, worth seeing.
That Obscure Object of Desire.
Oh, Buñuel. Very good. This is a great for the non-American director.
Well, I did that for you, but also I'd seen, 77 is the year of Star Wars, and
Jaws, is that 77?
Let's see what the 77 movies are. The big 77 movies that I've seen. Oh, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which I only watched for the first time like 3 months ago, and was kind of underwhelming, I thought. Too long.
I didn't like it when I saw it either, but people love it. Some people love that.
It's the year of Eraserhead, which I've seen. For me, I think it's probably Stroszek or Three Women are the two.
I would agree. I mean, I think because it's you and me, it has to be Stroszek.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do this and you continue to not have watched one of my favorite movies.
I think that's right.
I love this movie.
Can't wait. So that's it. See you next week.
All right. Wait. I'm going to switch off the car. And you're telling me that if I switch off the car, it will turn on again. I have your word on this.
Do you have my word on this? You have my word on it.
Okay, I'm switching it off.
What happens if it doesn't start?
Oh, God. Well, I've got the fucking Loki Thor thing. I guess we just spark it back to life again.
All right, I'm ready.
I'm doing it.
I give you my
ready?
word. Yep, do it.
All right, you give me a word. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Well, switching it off is the easy part. Oh, so quiet and dead.
Yeah. All right, turn it on.
Are you sure? Why are all the lights on? Oh, is this light on? No. Oh, all these go on. I see. I'm useless. All right.
Have you ever been in a car before?
No, that's why they honk at me. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, get in! Fucking solved it. Brilliant.
Wonderful.
The date, it says it's the 1st of January 2006.
Hold on, let me think about what I was doing then. I was living in London. Owen was not yet born. Livia just turned 1. And wow, it's weird to think about that. I wonder if my iCal goes back that far. That would be strange. Let's see. I do. I go back to my calendar goes back to January 2005. Incredible. So January 1st, 2005. I have nothing on my calendar. But looks like my mother and her then boyfriend had just been in London. He was the one who played real tennis.
Oh God.
Yeah, real tennis. Why do you have that reaction about real tennis?
It's absurd. What an absurd game. Oh, it's like a game made up by rich toffs in a room who just had too much time and money and didn't know. What if we? I tell you what if we have a ball, and if the ball hits the bell, you get 12 points. But if it comes off the roof and then I hit it on my chin, we get 18 points. Fuck off. Just play the fucking game. And they were obviously rubbish at it, at real tennis. So they invented it in a room like idiots. No, fuck that. I'm not into it.
Fantastic. All right. Well, it's 9:57, so
all right.
Make sure your dome lights are off.
Yeah, they've all gone off.
I'll see you next time.
All right. Cheers.
Bye. And that's that. Next week, it's a movie Roger Ebert called one of the oddest films ever made. Werner Herzog's black comedy, Stroszek. Not many movies take place in both Berlin and Wisconsin. Check it out if you have a chance. See you next time.